Jasmine Crockett walked into the congressional hearing room with a manila folder tucked under her arm. She'd been waiting 3 weeks for this moment. The committee hearing on federal contracts and nepotism had drawn minimal press attention until yesterday, when someone leaked that Donald Trump would be testifying. Now the room was packed. Cameras lined the back wall. Reporters filled every available seat. Trump sat at the witness table, his legal team flanking him on both sides. He looked relaxed, almost bored as the opening statements droned on. He'd done this before, testified before Congress, survived impeachments. This was just another performance. Crockett waited her turn. She was fourth in line to question him. The first 3 representatives went easy, asking softball questions about general business practices. Trump gave rambling answers, going off script, occasionally drawing chuckles from his supporters in the gallery. When Crockett's name was called, she adjusted her microphone and opened the manila folder. "Mr. Trump, I want to talk about contracts awarded during your presidency," she began. Trump leaned forward. "Congresswoman, my administration was the most transparent in history. Nobody gave out better contracts than me. The best deals. I'm specifically interested in contracts that went to companies with connections to your family." His lawyer whispered something in his ear. Trump waved him off. "My family is very successful, very talented people. If they won contracts, it's because they earned them." Crockett pulled out the first document. In March 2019, a Saudi development firm awarded a consulting contract worth $18 million to a company registered in Delaware. That company had 3 board members. "Do you know who they were?" Trump shifted in his seat. "I don't memorize every business deal in America, Congresswoman. Let me help you. Your daughter Ivanka, your son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and a Saudi national named Mohammed al-Rashid." The room got quieter. Reporters started typing faster. "So what? They're private citizens. They can do business. Not while serving as senior White House advisors, they can't." Trump's face reddened. "This is a witch hunt. You people never stop." But Crockett wasn't done. She pulled out another document, and the look on her face suggested she was just getting started. "Mr. Trump, when did Ivanka and Jared get married?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. "What does that have to do with contracts? Please answer the question." 2009. October 2009. "Beautiful wedding. I paid for everything." Crockett nodded slowly. "That's what the public records show." October 25, 2009. In New Jersey. "Correct?" "Yes." "So what?" "I have here a marriage certificate filed in the Cayman Islands." She held up a document. Dated March 15. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Trump's lawyers immediately huddled together, whispering urgently. "That's ridiculous," Trump said, his voice rising. "Where did you get that? That's fake news." "This certificate was obtained through a Freedom of Information request to the Cayman Islands Registry Office. It bears both their signatures. My daughter got married once, in 2009. This is a setup." The committee chairman banged his gavel, calling for order. Crockett waited for the noise to die down. "If this certificate is authentic, it means Ivanka and Jared were married 2 years before their public ceremony. The question is, why would they need a secret marriage in the Cayman Islands?" Trump stood up. "I'm not answering any more questions about my family's personal life." "Sit down, Mr. Trump," the chairman ordered. "This is harassment. Sit down or you'll be held in contempt." Trump sat, but his face had gone from red to purple. His hands gripped the edge of the table. Crockett continued, her voice steady. "Financial records show that immediately after this Cayman Islands marriage, a trust was established, the Kushner-Trump Family Trust. It held assets worth approximately $40 million. Lots of families have trusts. This particular trust received deposits from 17 different foreign sources between 2007 and 2016. The journalists were scrambling now. This was bigger than anyone had expected. Crockett projected a chart onto the screens around the room. It showed a web of financial transactions, color-coded by country of origin. Between March 2007 and November 2016, the Kushner-Trump Family Trust received deposits totaling $137 million. The sources include companies in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Russia, Qatar, and China. Trump's lawyer stood up. "Congresswoman, these are private financial matters. My client is under no obligation to discuss his family's personal investments." "These stopped being personal investments when both Ivanka and Jared took positions in the White House," Crockett shot back. The chairman nodded. "The witness will answer the questions." Trump looked at his legal team, but they had no good options. He was under oath. I don't know anything about this trust. My daughter and son-in-law have their own finances. You just said you paid for their wedding. Surely you knew about their financial arrangements. I paid for a wedding. I didn't audit their bank accounts. Crockett pulled out another document. This is a signature card from Deutsche Bank, dated April 2007. It establishes a line of credit for the Kushner-Trump family trust. Your signature is on it as a guarantor. Trump's jaw clenched. I guarantee a lot of loans. I'm a generous person. You guaranteed a loan for a trust you claim to know nothing about. My lawyers handled it. I sign what they tell me to sign. The admission drew gasps from the gallery. His own lawyers looked horrified. So you signed financial documents without reading them? That's not what I said. But you just said you signed what your lawyers told you to sign. Trump pounded the table. You're twisting my words. This is exactly what you people do. Crockett remained calm. Let's talk about what happened after you became president. In January 2017, both Ivanka and Jared joined your administration. They were required to disclose their financial interests. Did they disclose this trust? Silent. Mr. Trump? I don't remember what they disclosed. Their disclosure forms are public record. The trust wasn't mentioned. Then maybe it didn't exist anymore. Bank records show deposits continued until March 2019, including that $18 million payment I mentioned earlier. Trump's lawyers were passing notes frantically. One of them requested a recess. The chairman checked his watch. We'll take 15 minutes. But as Trump stood to leave, Crockett added one more thing. Mr. Trump, did you know that divorce records were also filed in the Cayman Islands? Same year as the marriage, 2007. Trump froze. They got married and divorced in the same year, then remarried publicly 2 years later. I'm curious why they would do that. Trump didn't answer. He walked out of the room surrounded by his legal team, and the press gallery exploded into chaos. The hallway outside the hearing room was bedlam. Reporters shouted questions, camera crews jostled for position. Trump's team formed a protective barrier around him as they moved toward a private conference room. Inside the hearing room, Crockett sat calmly reviewing her notes. Other committee members approached her, some congratulating her, others demanding to know where she got her information. This better be solid, one Republican representative warned. If you're wrong about any of this, you'll be finished. It's solid, Crockett replied. Her phone buzzed, text messages flooded in, some supportive, some threatening. She turned the phone face down and focused on the remaining documents in her folder. A young aide approached. The networks are going live with this, it's everywhere. Crockett nodded, but didn't smile. This wasn't about publicity, this was about accountability. In the private conference room, Trump was yelling at his lawyers. Where did she get those documents? Who leaked them? The Cayman Islands have disclosure laws. One lawyer explained. If someone knows what to look for, so fix this, make it go away. We can't make public records disappear. Then discredit her, say she's lying. Sir, she has the actual documents. If we claim they're fake and they're authenticated, Trump threw a water bottle against the wall. I don't care. Do something. His press secretary was on the phone, trying to craft a response for the media. But what could they say? The marriage certificate existed. The trust existed. The bank records existed. We could claim it was all legitimate business, one lawyer suggested. Then why hide it? Another countered. We say they wanted privacy for their marriage. Rich people do that sometimes. And the divorce? Silence. Trump paced the small room. Call Jared. Get him on the phone now. Sir, if you talk to him while you're testifying, that could look like... I don't care how it looks. Get him on the phone. Back in the hearing room, reporters were filing stories in real time. Social media had exploded. Hashtags were trending. Legal experts were being called for comment. One CNN analyst spoke into the camera. If this trust received foreign payments while Ivanka and Jared held security clearances and worked in the White House, that could be a violation of the emoluments clause, potentially criminal conflict of interest charges, and raises serious questions about foreign influence. The 15-minute recess stretched to 30 minutes, then 45. Finally, the committee chairman sent word that they were reconvening. Trump returned to the witness table. His face was composed now, but his eyes were hard. Crockett picked up where she left off. Mr. Trump, let's discuss the divorce filing from December 2007. My daughter's personal life is none of your business. The filing lists assets that were divided. including shares in several companies. One of those companies, registered in Delaware, later received contracts from the federal government during your presidency. Trump's lawyer interjected. Congresswoman, are you alleging that a divorce settlement from 2007 somehow influenced federal contracts awarded 10 years later? I'm establishing a pattern, a secret marriage, a trust funded by foreign sources, a quick divorce that redistributed assets, then a public remarriage, and later, when these same people work in the White House, companies connected to those redistributed assets receive federal contracts. That's conspiracy theory nonsense, Trump shouted. Is it? Let me show you something else. Crockett displayed another document. This is a contract proposal from 2018. The Department of Commerce was looking for consultants for a trade deal with Saudi Arabia. 3 companies submitted bids. The winning bid came from Kushner Advisory Group, owned by Jared Kushner's brother. So his brother won a contract. That's not illegal. The bid was 40% higher than the other 2 proposals. Yet it won. The decision was made by Wilbur Ross, your Commerce Secretary, who, according to these emails, consulted with Jared Kushner about the decision. Consulting isn't illegal. It is when you have a financial interest in the outcome. Trump leaned back, trying to appear unconcerned. You're connecting dots that don't connect. My administration had strict ethics rules. Your administration granted Ivanka and Jared ethics waivers multiple times. Because they were unfairly targeted, or because they couldn't do their jobs without violating ethics rules. The back and forth was heated now. Trump was losing his composure again. Let me ask you directly, Mr. Trump. Did you know about the Cayman Islands marriage? No. Did you know about the trust? I already answered that. Did you know your daughter and son-in-law were receiving payments from foreign governments while working in your White House? They weren't receiving payments. You're making this up. Crockett pulled out a bank statement. This shows a deposit of $5 million from a Qatari investment fund, dated June 2018. It went into an account jointly held by Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. That could be anything. Investment income, business deals. While they worked for you, while they had security clearances, while they participated in foreign policy decisions. The room was absolutely silent now, except for Crockett's voice. And here's what interests me about the divorce filing. The assets that were divided in December 2007, they were put into separate trusts, Ivanka's trust, Jared's trust. Both trusts were structured so that income wouldn't be reported as personal income. It would be reported as trust income. People use trusts for tax planning all the time. But when you remarry and file joint taxes, which they did starting in 2009, those trusts provide a way to receive money that doesn't appear on your public financial disclosures. Trump's lawyer stood again. Mr. Chairman, this is speculation. The Congresswoman is implying criminal activity without evidence. I have bank statements, trust documents, contract awards, and emails, Crockett replied. That's not speculation. That's evidence. Let me summarize what we know, Crockett said, her voice cutting through the tension. In 2007, your daughter and son-in-law entered into a secret marriage in the Cayman Islands. They established a trust that received over $100 million from foreign sources. They divorced later that year, in a way that redistributed assets to avoid disclosure requirements. They remarried publicly in 2009. Then, while working in your White House, companies connected to those redistributed assets received federal contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And you, Mr. Trump, sent a text message instructing your daughter to bury evidence when questions started being asked. Trump's face was a mask of fury. You've been planning this ambush for months, haven't you? I've been investigating financial irregularities in your administration. Yes. This is persecution. Political persecution. It's oversight. It's Congress doing its job. Your job is to help the American people, not destroy their president. You're not the president anymore, Mr. Trump. That hit hard. Trump's mouth opened but no words came out. Crockett pressed on. What I want to know is why. Why go through all of this? Why the secret marriage? Why the complex trust structure? Why risk everything? Trump leaned forward, his voice low and dangerous. You want to know why? Because people like you would never let us succeed honestly. Everything we did, you attacked. Every business deal, every appointment, every decision. So yes, we protected ourselves, we made sure we had options. We made sure our family was secure. That's what smart people do. By taking money from foreign governments while serving in the White House, by being prepared, By not being naive. That's not preparation, Mr. Trump. That's corruption. Trump slammed his hand on the table. I built an empire. I became president. My family is successful and powerful. You can throw around words like corruption all you want, but we won. We always win. Did Ivanka and Jared win, or are they about to be indicted? That stopped him cold. What are you talking about? Crockett pulled out one final document. The Justice Department has been conducting a parallel investigation, based on evidence gathered by this committee and others. I received notice this morning that charges are being prepared. Trump's face went pale. You're bluffing. Am I? The room held its breath. Charges for what? Trump demanded. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, violation of the Emoluments Clause, money laundering, tax fraud, and obstruction of justice, based on that text message you sent. Trump looked at his lawyers. They looked at each other. Nobody had answers. This is a political prosecution, Trump finally said, but his voice had lost its strength. It's a criminal investigation following the evidence. When? I can't comment on the Justice Department's timeline. Trump stood up slowly. This time, nobody stopped him. We're done here, he said quietly. Mr. Trump, the committee hasn't dismissed you. I said we're done. He walked out, his legal team scrambling to follow. The press gallery erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters rushed for the exits. Crockett sat alone at the committee table, gathering her documents. She'd done what she came to do. Within an hour, every news network was running special coverage. Legal analysts debated the implications. Political commentators argued about what it meant for the upcoming election cycle. Trump's social media accounts exploded with posts calling it a total scam and a witch hunt. He demanded congressional Republicans fight back. He called for Crockett to be expelled from Congress. But behind the scenes, his legal team was in crisis mode. They knew the evidence was real. They knew the Justice Department had them. Jared and Ivanka released a joint statement denying all wrongdoing. They claimed the Cayman marriage was a personal matter, that the trust was legal, that all foreign payments were legitimate business income, but nobody was buying it. By evening, 3 Republican senators had called for a special prosecutor. 2 had suggested Ivanka and Jared should cooperate with investigators. 1 even hinted that Trump himself might face charges. Crockett gave a press conference outside the Capitol building. Today we saw evidence of a years-long scheme to enrich the Trump family, using the power of the presidency. This isn't about politics. This is about the law. Nobody is above it. Reporters shouted questions. Will you be satisfied with just Ivanka and Jared facing charges? I'll be satisfied when everyone involved is held accountable. Does that include Trump? I'll let the Justice Department make that determination. Do you think this ends his political career? Crockett paused. That's up to the voters. But they deserve to know the truth. Back at Mar-a-Lago, Trump was on the phone with his closest advisors. The conversation was heated. We need to get ahead of this, one advisor said. How? She has everything. We discredit her. Attack her credibility. Make this about her, not about the evidence. The evidence is on video. My own words. Then we say you were joking. It was a private event. You were being sarcastic. Trump wasn't convinced. What about Ivanka and Jared? They might need to take a deal. Absolutely not. We don't cooperate with these people. Sir, if the Justice Department has what Crockett says they have, fighting this could mean prison time. Trump went silent. For who? He finally asked. Potentially all 3 of you. That night, Ivanka called her father. The conversation was brief and tense. Jared wants to talk to a lawyer about immunity, she said. No deals. Dad, they have the bank records, the texts, everything. I said no deals. We fight this. I have 3 children. I can't go to prison. You won't go to prison. This is all going to go away. How? How is it going to go away? Trump didn't have an answer. 3 days later, the Justice Department announced charges. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner were indicted on 14 counts, including conspiracy, fraud, and money laundering. The indictment detailed the entire scheme: the Cayman marriage, the trust, the foreign payments, the federal contracts. Trump himself was named as an unindicted co-conspirator. The document suggested charges against him were still being considered. The news broke during prime time. Networks interrupted regular programming. Social media exploded. Trump held an emergency rally in Florida. Thousands attended. This is the greatest witch hunt in American history, he shouted to the crowd. They're going after my family because they can't beat me. But we're fighters. We never surrender. The crowd chanted his name. But polls showed the damage was real. His approval rating dropped 8 points overnight. Republican lawmakers were distancing themselves. Donors were getting nervous. Ivanka and Jared turned themselves in the next morning. They were photographed being processed, fingerprint, mugshots taken. The images went viral immediately. Their lawyers negotiated bail. They were released the same day, but the damage to their reputation was catastrophic. Crockett appeared on multiple news shows, explaining the evidence methodically and calmly. This case shows that nobody is above the law. Not the president's daughter, not his son-in-law, not the president himself. Legal experts predicted a long trial. The evidence was extensive, but the defense would fight every point. This could take years, one analyst said, and it could reshape American politics. Trump's presidential campaign, which had been surging, suddenly faced serious questions. Could he win while his daughter was on trial? Would voters trust him after these revelations? Within a week, 2 primary challengers announced they were staying in the race. Republican donors started hedging their bets. Trump responded with characteristic defiance. "I'm not going anywhere. This makes me stronger." The American people see through this scam, but privately, his advisors were worried. The evidence was too strong, the story too damaging. And Jasmine Crockett had more documents. She'd only revealed a fraction of what she'd found. In committee hearings over the following weeks, she methodically laid out additional evidence. More contracts, more payments, more connections between the Trump family's finances and foreign governments. Each revelation made headlines. Each one raised new questions about what else might be hidden. Trump fought back on social media and at rallies. But the momentum had shifted. Former supporters started asking questions. Donors started demanding answers. Republican lawmakers started considering their options. The trial date was set for 8 months away, but the political fallout was immediate and devastating. Jasmine Crockett had done what she set out to do. She'd exposed the truth. She'd held power accountable. She'd shown that even the most powerful families couldn't escape scrutiny. The story wasn't over. The trial would take months, maybe years. Appeals could stretch it out even longer. But the bomb had been dropped. The marriage certificate from the Cayman Islands, the secret trust, the foreign payments, all of it was now public knowledge. Trump's wild reaction in that hearing room had been broadcast around the world. His fury, his denials, his inability to explain the evidence. It would define his legacy as much as anything else he'd done. And Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman who'd brought it all to light, had become a household name overnight. Justice was slow, but it was coming. And nobody, not even Donald Trump, could stop it.